So today I want to talk about my favorite hobby, which is rock climbing. And this is one of my personal drop bags that I have. So let's talk about how I fell in love with the sport first. My father brought me to one of the climbing gyms nearby my house after he read an article that said rock climbing had a lot of benefits and just wanted to try it out. Now, at the time, I was 16 and I was a person that was afraid of heights a little bit, not too much, but I still had a bit of fear. So I was quite reluctant at first, but eventually I came around and I took it as a chance to overcome this fear. I really wanted to challenge myself at the time. And so I went together with my father to the gym nearby as a first time experience. And when we got there first, there was an instructor that told us what to do, and he introduced us to top rope climbing, which is the traditional one where you see that there's a very tall wall. And first of all, we started with a manual belay. Essentially, the instructor will be the one pulling us up and down of the wall, ensuring that we don't fall. And at first, we tried an 8-meter wall, which is considered quite short in the sport. And the first time when I reached the top of that 8-meter wall and I looked down, the fear that I had, it was nerve-wracking, and I was so nervous. But in the end, I found some bravery in me after the encouragement of the instructor, and I finally, done what the instructor said, and he lowered me down. And after that first experience, I felt like, okay, it's not that bad. I felt kind of fine. But then the instructor took us to the auto belay. It's essentially a machine where it's the same thing, but the wall is higher and there's no one to pull you. And essentially, there's no one to trust. You can only trust the machine to do its job. And I followed the instructor's instructions and I climbed up the auto belay to like a certain height, around 3 meters, and I took a drop. And the instructor basically told me to, let go and jump off the wall. And at the time, because there's no one to trust, you can only trust the machine. And I was afraid of heights. So it took me everything that I had, the bravery in me, to just jump. Like in that moment, it was like a very hard mental battle, but essentially I did it. I took everything in me to jump off the wall. And the thing with auto belay ropes or routes, it's that there's a 0.2 second where it feels like free fall until the machine detects that you're falling, and it lowers you down slowly. And so the first time I felt that 0.2 second free fall, I was like, oh my god. But instead of fear, it became thrill. It became, I enjoyed this process. It gave me adrenaline. And when I fully lowered into the ground from the auto belay, I felt so much thrill. I felt so much adrenaline instead of fear. There's still fear in me, but it became a little part of me. The thrill of wanting to go again became the biggest part of my emotion. And at that time, I knew, like, let's go again and let's try more. And that was, I would say, quite the defining moment that got me hooked into the sport. Essentially, the thrill of falling, which is very weird coming from a person that was afraid of heights. Yeah. But now, as I climbed more and more, the reason of why I climb kind of changed. Obviously, the thrill is still there, but there's another added reason, and that is I find that there's so much similarities of rock climbing with life, because in rock climbing you would see a route, you would try it, you would fail it, and then you would try again. You would try to look at what you've done wrong during your climb, and you say to yourself, okay, let's go again, let's try to fix this and that. And I find that that's so similar with life. Like when you meet a challenge, it's always, okay, I failed, let's look at this and let's go again. And in climbing, there's certain grades, basically 1 to 6. And when you achieve something, like you've finally climbed your first V3, you feel this sense of achievement that is irreplaceable. Like you can't find this in any other traditional sport like badminton or running, which I also do. But the thrill of achieving that achievement feeling you rarely get in other sports. And it's also an analogy in life. Basically, it's like if you have achieved a V3, you always feel like, okay, now I can handle everything. I can handle any V2 climb. But that's not the truth. You would often still fail in V2 climbs, even if you've achieved a V3 once. And that's what I find very interesting, because in life you always see these easy tasks that you deem you've done before, and sometimes you still fail in them and you beat yourself up, but that's really not the case, because every challenge is different. It challenges you in a different way, same as every route. And this is why, as a closing message, I would always urge people to go and try rock climbing. It's an amazing sport. The thrill that you get is pretty universal, but the analogy of life that I get, it's a little bit different, it's a little bit personal, but I think if you try the sport, you can always get something more from it, because it's not your traditional sport, and there's a lot that you can get from rock climbing that it's different for everybody. And so go to your local climbing gym, give it a shot, try it, and trust me, you'll never forget it. You'll never regret it. And that's all from me. Thank you.